Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're tackling a figure many of you might have heard of, Jacob.
Oh yeah, Jacob's story. It's one that always gets people talking.
For sure, for sure. But even if the name rings a bell, we're going deeper than the surface level.
Right, into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. The messy details that make Jacob's journey so intriguing.
Definitely not your typical hero's journey, that's for sure.
Anything but. So to guide us today, we've got some excerpts from an article.
Okay, cool.
It really dives deep into different phases of Jacob's life, ambition, betrayal, maybe even redemption.
Whoa. Lot to unpack there.
Oh, tons. And it all starts with, family drama, right?
Always does.
His relationship with his twin brother Esau, that's where we're kicking things off.
Talk about sibling rivalry, huh?
Seriously. The story begins with their birth, kind of sets the stage for their whole rivalry.
Yeah, imagine being born grasping your twin's heel.
Not exactly brotherly love, is it?
Not quite, and it makes you wonder, was this rivalry just destined from the start?
Right. Was it always going to be this way?
And it doesn't take long for things to, well, escalate.
Understatement. So right off the bat, we see Jacob's willingness to go to great lengths.
Oh yeah, he's not afraid to play the game.
To get what he wants, for sure.
Yeah.
He actually takes advantage of Esau's hunger.
Oh, right. The whole stew incident.
Trades a bowl of stew
Okay.
for Esau's birthright,
Yeah.
his right to inherit, everything.
That's a pretty significant trade for a bowl of stew, don't you think?
Makes you wonder about the times, right? Was a birthright just something you could trade so easily?
Good point. Or was this already a sign of, Jacob's ambition?
His cunning, for sure.
Maybe both. But later, Jacob takes things even further, deceiving his own father.
Isaac, right. To give him the blessing meant for Esau.
Talk about tricky.
Seriously. He's taking advantage of Isaac's blindness, too. I mean, does this make Jacob a villain?
Right. Are we supposed to see him as the bad guy here?
Or is it more like he's determined to fulfill his destiny even if it means bending the rules?
People have been debating that for centuries.
No kidding. I mean, is Jacob a schemer, a manipulator?
Or is he driven by something deeper? Some kind of purpose?
Even if his methods are, questionable.
Exactly. And honestly, that's part of what makes the story so fascinating.
It's true. Not so black and white.
Totally. So these early actions, they might be morally ambiguous.
For sure.
But they definitely show us a pattern in Jacob's behavior.
Like he's a risk taker.
Doesn't shy away from opportunities.
And he'll step on some toes along the way, no doubt.
Right. And that ambition, mixed with his capacity for love, it leads him to one of the most famous love stories in the Bible.
Yes, his pursuit of Rachel.
Classic love story, but with a twist, of course.
Oh, always a twist with Jacob. So we're talking about his uncle, Laban.
And his two daughters, Leah and Rachel.
This whole situation, I gotta say, it's a head scratcher.
Tell me about it. Jacob falls head over heels for Rachel, the beautiful Rachel.
Right, smitten.
And agrees to work for Laban for 7 years just to marry her.
7 years?
Yeah.
That's serious dedication.
Talks about how much he loved her.
Wow. But then, on his wedding night, bam, tricked.
Oof. Yeah, he ends up married to Leah, Rachel's older sister.
Talk about betrayal. I mean, even in matters of the heart, Jacob can't escape manipulation.
And the thing is, even after this, he agrees to work another 7 years for Rachel.
Unbelievable. So was this love?
Mm-hmm.
Or was he just determined to get what he was promised?
Good question. Does it have to be one or the other?
Maybe not. It really gets to the core of Jacob's character,
Totally. It's what keeps people coming back to his story, even after all this time.
Absolutely. Okay, so we left off with Jacob kind of realizing that even HE can't outsmart consequences.
Right. It catches up to everyone eventually.
Especially when you've, wronged your brother.
Yeah, big time. And we're talking about Esau here.
Exactly. Years have passed since Jacob basically ran away.
Fearing Esau's wrath, let's call it.
After that whole blessing deception, right?
Yeah, not exactly a minor thing.
Definitely not. But now, Jacob's got to go back.
Back to his homeland, yeah.
And that means facing Esau.
Can't avoid it forever.
I can't even imagine the anxiety.
Must have been intense, knowing Esau could,
Seek revenge. It's like a psychological thriller almost.
The anticipation, the uncertainty, it's a lot.
Totally. So Jacob, being Jacob, tries to smooth things over.
Right. He sends ahead this huge procession of gifts.
Like flocks of sheep, goats, camels, the whole works.
Servants, everything. It's extravagant.
Makes you wonder what Esau thought, seeing all that.
Like, oh, wow, nice try, bro, or this changes nothing.
Totally. But the question remains, what will Esau do?
Will he welcome Jacob back? Or,
Take revenge. The tension is, wow, palpable.
Definitely a nail-biter. And then when they finally meet,
Yeah, the moment of truth.
it's surprising, actually. Esau doesn't attack.
Huh.
He runs to Jacob, embraces him. They both start weeping.
Whoa, hold back, seriously.
Yeah.
Talk about a twist.
It's powerful, right? Like real forgiveness.
Even after all that betrayal.
Shows that deep down, maybe those wounds can heal.
And that even the worst rivalry, like,
Yeah, even that can be overcome.
wow, that's hopeful, you know? But like, life with Jacob is never simple, is it?
Ha, you got that right. It's not all smooth sailing from here.
Even though Esau forgives him, Jacob still faces, well,
Challenges, yeah. Like
Yeah.
losing Rachel, his beloved Rachel.
that's got to be one of the most heartbreaking moments, right?
During childbirth, too, it leaves Jacob, well, devastated.
It's rough. All that work, the years he spent to be with her,
And then just gone. It makes you question things, you know?
like fate, the role of suffering in a life that's also had blessings.
It's so complex, the human experience.
Joy and sorrow, love and loss, all mixed up.
Can't have one without the other, it seems.
And then there's the whole family drama with his sons.
Oh, right. The 12 sons. The future 12 tribes of Israel.
Exactly. And let's just say, sibling harmony isn't their strong suit.
Lots of jealousy, rivalry, even deceit. It sounds familiar, huh?
Like echoes of Jacob's own actions.
Maybe we're not so different from our parents, after all.
Thought-provoking. And, of course, the most famous story is
Joseph.
Jacob's favorite. And his brothers, well, they're not exactly thrilled about that.
Consumed by envy, they sell Joseph into slavery.
Leaving Jacob to think, you know, his son's dead.
Heartbreaking. It's a story that resonates, across cultures.
The power of sibling rivalry, the pain of loss, it's universal.
Almost Shakespearean, the tragedy of it all.
Seriously. Every time Jacob seems to be moving on,
Bam! Something pulls him back into despair.
it's like one step forward, two steps back.
But, and this is important, through all of it,
Yeah.
Jacob never completely loses his faith.
He holds on, even when it seems impossible.
To the promise God made to him, a great nation descending from him.
Wow, that resilience.
Yeah.
That's got to be inspiring, right?
It is, even in the darkest moments, that strength to carry on.
Yeah. It makes you want to ask, what does it mean to truly wrestle with life?
To grapple with those big questions, even when there are no answers.
I think that's a key part of Jacob's story, isn't it?
Absolutely. From the literal wrestling match with God.
To his internal battles.
Yeah.
With guilt, ambition, loss. It's all connected.
Yeah, this constant striving, this search for meaning.
And that brings us to the final chapter.
To Jacob's legacy, the lessons we can learn.
And how his journey shaped generations to come. It's wild, right? We've been through so much with Jacob.
Betrayal, love, loss, it's all there.
Yeah. And somehow, all that personal stuff, it becomes the foundation for a whole nation.
Powerful idea, huh?
Seriously. Like one guy's ups and downs shaping the destiny of so many.
Yeah, Jacob's descendants, the 12 tribes, they all go on to face their own struggles too.
It makes you think about legacy, you know?
How our actions ripple outward.
Totally. But there's one event in Jacob's life that I always come back to.
Which one?
The wrestling match. Him actually wrestling with God.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
It's so vivid. Always makes me think about the deeper struggles. The ones we all face, you know?
Right, like a metaphor for the big question.
Exactly. So is it a literal wrestling match with like a divine being?
It's one of those passages that gets debated forever.
I can see why.
But it gets at something, right? That human need
To wrestle with the unknown, yeah.
to confront our doubts, figure out where we fit in.
I get that. Sometimes you just got to grapple with things, even when it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. And Jacob's story, it kind of gives us permission for that.
Permission to.
To wrestle with those doubts, to question, even argue with God.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah. It doesn't mean you lack faith.
Right.
It could even be the opposite, like a sign of a faith that's getting deeper.
Because you're not just blindly accepting things.
You're engaging, you're seeking a real understanding.
So it's not about always having the right answers.
Nope. It's about being real, being vulnerable.
Okay, I like that. But how do we actually wrestle with God in our own lives?
Start with honesty.
Honesty.
Yeah, be open about your doubts, your fears, your questions. Bring it all to God.
And that's like through prayer.
Prayer can be a form of wrestling, for sure. A real dialogue, not just reciting words.
Like a back and forth conversation.
Exactly. And don't forget about engaging with those sacred texts.
Right, right. Reading, studying, thinking critically.
It's all part of the process. helps you grapple with those timeless questions.
The questions that have always been there?
And don't underestimate the power of your own personal struggles.
What do you mean?
Those challenges, those losses, those moments that push you to your limit.
They can be opportunities.
Exactly, to grow, to transform, if you're open to it. That is
So not looking at those hard times as like punishments,
more like turning points.
moments that can make your faith stronger.
And help you understand yourself, the world around you even better.
And Jacob, even with all the twists and turns,
Yeah.
his story ends with hope, right?
Surrounded by family, passing on those blessings, that promise of a future.
Like even when we feel lost, unsure,
There's always that potential for growth, for connection, even for a deeper relationship with, well,
with something bigger than ourselves.
exactly.
Well, this has been incredible. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Jacob's life.
My pleasure. Always a good conversation.
Tons to think about, for sure. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep,